The king of Moab sends for Balaam. The Israelites moved on and set up camp in the plains of Moab, east of the Jordan and opposite Jericho. When the king of Moab, Balak son of Zippor, heard what the Israelites had done to the Amorites and how many Israelites there were, he and all his people became terrified. The Moabites said to the leaders of the Midianites, "This horde will soon destroy everything round us, like a bull eating the grass in a pasture." So King Balak sent messengers to summon Balaam son of Beor, who was at Pethor near the river Euphrates in the land of Ammon. They brought him this message from Balak: "I want you to know that a whole nation has come from Egypt. Its people are spreading out everywhere and threatening to take over our land. They outnumber us. So please come and put a curse on them for me. Then perhaps we will be able to defeat them and drive them out of the land. I know what when you pronounce a blessing, people are blessed, and when you pronounce a curse, they are placed under a curse." So the Moabites and the Midianite leaders took with them the payment for the curse, went to Balaam, and gave him Balak's message. Balaam said to them, "Spend the night here, and tomorrow I will report to you whatever the Lord tells me." "Men that you are staying with," he answered, "King Balak of Moab has sent them all to tell me that a people who came from Egypt has spread out over the whole land. He wants me to curse them for him, so that he can fight them and drive them out." God said to Balaam, "Do not go with these men, and do not put a curse on the people of Israel, because they have my blessings." The next morning Balaam went to Balak's messengers and said, "Go back home. The Lord has refused to let me go with you." So they returned to Balak and told him that Balaam had refused to come with them. Then Balak sent a larger number of leaders who were more important than the first. They went to Balaam and gave him this message from Balak: "Please don't let anything prevent you from coming to me. I will reward you richly and do anything you say. Please come and curse these people for me." But Balaam answered, "Even if Balak gave me all the silver and gold in his palace, I could not disobey the command of the Lord my God in even the smallest matter. But please stay the night as the others did, so that I may learn whether or not the Lord has something else to tell me." That night God came to Balaam and said, "If these men have come to ask you to go with them, get ready to go, but only what I tell you." So the next morning Balaam saddled his donkey and went with the Moabite leaders. Balaam and his donkey. God was angry that Balaam was going, and as Balaam was riding along on his donkey, accompanied by his 2 servants, the angel of the Lord stood in the road to bar his way. When the donkey saw the angel standing there, holding a sword, it left the road and turned into the fields. Balaam beat the donkey and brought it back onto the road. Then the angel stood where the road narrowed between 2 vineyards and had a stone wall on each side. When the donkey saw the angel, it moved over against the wall and crushed Balaam's foot against it, Again Balaam beat the donkey. Once more the angel moved ahead. He stood in a narrow place where there was no room at all to pass on either side. This time, when the donkey saw the angel, it lay down. Balaam lost his temper and began to beat the donkey with a stick. Then the Lord gave the donkey the power of speech, and it said to Balaam, "What have I done to you? Why have you beaten me these 3 times?" Balaam answered, "Because you have made a fool of me. If I had a sword, I would kill you." The donkey replied, "Am I not the same donkey on which you have ridden all your life? Have I ever treated you like this before?" "No," he answered. Then the Lord let Balaam see the angel standing there with a sword, and Balaam threw himself face downwards on the ground. The angel demanded, "Why have you beaten your donkey 3 times like this?" "I have come to bar your way, because you should not be making this journey. But your donkey saw me and turned aside 3 times. If it hadn't, I would have killed you and spared the donkey." Balaam replied, "I have sinned. I did not know that you were standing in the road to oppose me. But now, if you think it is wrong for me to go on, I will return home." But the angel said, "Go on with these men, but say only what I tell you to say." So Balaam went on with them. Balak welcomes Balaam. When Balak heard that Balaam was coming, he went to meet him at Ar, a city on the river Arnon at the border of Moab. Balak said to him, "Why didn't you come when I sent for you the first time? Did you think I wasn't able to reward you enough?" Balaam answered, "I came, didn't I? But now, what power have I got? I can only say what God tells me to say." So Balaam went to Balak to the town of Huzot, where Balak slaughtered cattle and sheep and gave some of the meat to Balaam and the leaders who were with him. Balaam's first prophecy. Next morning Balak took Balaam up to Bamoth Baal, from where Balaam could see a part of the people of Israel. He said to Balak, "Build 7 altars here for me, and bring me 7 bulls and 7 rams." Balak did as he was told, and he and Balaam offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Then Balaam said to Balak, "Stand here by your burnt offering while I go to see whether or not the Lord will meet me. I will tell you whatever he reveals to me." So he went alone to the top of a hill, and God met him. Balaam said to him, "I have built the 7 altars and offered a bull and a ram on each." The Lord told Balaam what to say and sent him back to Balak to give him his message. So he went back and found Balak still standing by his burnt offering with all the leaders of Moab. Balaam uttered his prophecy. "Balak, king of Moab, has brought me from Syria, from the eastern mountains. Come and speak for me," he said. "Put a curse on the people of Israel." How can I curse what God has not cursed, or speak of doom when the Lord has not? From the high rocks I can see them. I can watch them from the hills. They are a nation that lives alone. They know they are blessed more than other nations. The descendants of Israel are like the dust. There are too many of them to be counted. Let me end my days like one of God's people. Let me die in peace like the righteous. Then Balak said to Balaam, What have you done to me? I brought you here to curse my enemies, but all you have done is bless them. He answered, I can say only what the Lord tells me to say. Balaam's second prophecy. Then Balak said to Balaam, Come with me to another place from which you can see only some of the Israelites. Curse them for me from there. He took him to the field of Zephon on the top of the mount Pisgah. There also he built 7 altars and offered a bull and a ram on each of them. Balaam said to Balak, Stand here by a burnt offering, and I will meet God over there. The Lord met Balaam, told him what to say, and sent him back to Balak to give him this message. So he went back and found Balak still standing by his burnt offering with the leaders of Moab. Balak asked what the Lord had said, and Balaam uttered his prophecy. Come, Balak, son of Ziphor, and listen to what I have to say. God is not like men who lie. He is not a human who changes his mind. Whatever he promises, he does. He speaks, and it is done. I have been instructed to bless, and when God blesses, I cannot call it back. I foresee the Israel's future will bring her no misfortune or trouble. The Lord, their God, is with them. They proclaim that He is their King. God has brought them out of Egypt. He fights for them like a wild ox. There is no magic charm, no witchcraft that can be used against the nation of Israel. Now people will say about Israel, Look what God has done. The nation of Israel is like a mighty lion. It doesn't rest until it has torn down and devoured, until it has drunk the blood of those it had killed. Then Balak said to Balaam, You refuse to curse the people of Israel, but at least don't bless them. Balaam answered, Didn't I tell you that I had to do everything the Lord told me? Balaam's third prophecy. Balak said, Come with me, and I will take you to another place. Perhaps God will be willing to let you curse them for me from there. So he took Balaam to the top of Mount Peor, overlooking the desert. Balaam said to him, Build 7 altars for me here, and bring me 7 bulls and 7 rams. Balak did as he was told and offered a bull and a ram on each altar. By now Balaam knew that the Lord wanted him to bless the people of Israel. So he did go to look for omens, as he had done before. He turned towards the desert and saw the people of Israel camped tribe by tribe. The Spirit of God took control of him, and he uttered his prophecy. The message of Balaam, son of Beor, the words of the man who can see clearly, who can hear what God is saying. With staring eyes, I can see in a trance a vision from Almighty God. The tents of Israel are beautiful, like long rows of palms. Our gardens beside a river, like aloes planted by the Lord, or cedars beside the water. They will have abundant rainfall and plant their seed in well-watered fields. Their king shall be greater than Agag, and his rule shall be extended far and wide. God brought them out of Egypt. He fights for them like a wild ox. devour their enemies, crush their bones, smash their arrows. The nation is like a mighty lion. When it is sleeping, no one dares wake it. Whoever blesses Israel will be blessed, and whoever curses Israel will be cursed. Balak clenched his fists in anger and said to Balaam, I called you to curse my enemies, but 3 times now you have blessed them instead. Now go off home. I promised to reward you, but the Lord has kept you from getting the reward. Balaam answered, I told the messengers you sent to me that even if you gave me all the silver and gold in your palace, I could not disobey the command of the Lord by doing anything of myself. I will say only what the Lord tells me to say. Balaam's final prophecies. Balaam and Balak, now I am going to my own people, but before I go, I am warning you what the people of Israel will do to your people in the future. Then he uttered his prophecy, the message of Balaam son of Beor, the words of the man who can see clearly, who can hear what God is saying and receive the knowledge that comes from the Most High. With staring eyes, I see in a trance a vision from Almighty God. I look into the future and I see the nation of Israel. A king, like a bright star, will arise in that nation. Like a comet, he will come from Israel. He will strike the leaders of Moab and beat down all the people of Seth. He will conquer his enemies in Edom and make their land his property. While Israel continues victorious, the nation of Israel will trample them down and wipe out the last survivors. Then in his vision, Balaam saw the Amalekites and uttered his prophecy. Amalek was the most powerful nation of all, but at the end it will perish forever. In his vision, he saw the Canaanites and uttered his prophecy. The place where you live is secure, safe as a nest set high on a cliff. But you, Canaanites, will be destroyed when Assyria takes you captive. Balaam uttered this prophecy. Who are these people gathering in the north? Invaders will sail from Cyprus. They will conquer Assyria and Eber, but in turn will perish forever. Then Balaam got ready and went back home, and Balak went on his way.